Some topics today. We're going to start with this question. We saw Joe Flacco win the 2023 NFL Comeback Player of the Year award. He only played 5 games for the Browns. He beat out a guy who died on the football field and then came back and played in limited capacity. He also beat out Baker Mayfield and Matthew Stafford, who had different comeback stories of their own right. So the Browns, entering 2024, have 2 players coming off catastrophic injuries. Deshaun Watson missed 11 games with the shoulder injury. Nick Chubb got injured in week 2. So between Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson, which of these 2 Browns players has the better chance to win the 2024 NFL Comeback Player of the Year entering this new season? Who wants to start us off?
Deshaun Watson.
No kidding.
And
why?
Because the Browns are doing, they're going to tailor make this offense so it can fit him. They want to throw the ball. They're going out and literally going to try to get a wide receiver to help him. They're bringing in a new offensive play caller that specializes in shotgun and throwing the ball deep down the field. So I think that if anybody, he's going to have the numbers. He's going to have the support from his organization to be able to do so. Nick Chubb, the only reason I don't think Nick Chubb will be able to get it because I'm not 100% sure when Nick Chubb will play in the season. I'm pretty sure Deshaun will be the starting quarterback week 1. Nick Chubb, when you come back from those type of injuries, it might take you 3 to 4 weeks. So now you're already behind in that, and then it's going to take you a minute to get revved up again. So I just think it's going to take too long for him to take off to have the numbers to win Comeback Player of the Year. To whereas Deshaun Watson coming right out of the gate, he'll already have the new weapons, he'll have the new play calling, and I think that is tailor-made for him to be able to win Comeback Player of the Year.
I'm going to tell you this. In some circles around the NFL, they give the comeback player of the year to O.J. Simpson before they give it to Deshaun Watson.
You might be right.
You think like come on, man. You really think like these people do not? There's people in our own fan base that don't like him. Like, we've seen multiple opportunities and multiple times where people.
So if he threw for 5,000 yards,
don't matter.
You don't think he getting Comeback Player of the Year?
No.
Well, now wait a minute.
That's ridiculous.
There's people in our fan base that ran the last quarterback out of town, and he damn near won the Comeback Player of the Year award. Baker just missed to Joe.
Narratives. I watch politics and I watch a lot of different things on all over the spectrum. And one thing during polling season they always talk about, they poll people, is that narratives and the way you feel about somebody overshadows what that person does in real life. Like, you'll vote for somebody. It don't matter if they do any bills or do any legislation. They just like the guy, so they vote. It's on both sides, so that's how it goes down. So when you talk about these awards, Comeback Player of the Year is a subjective award given by writers and different people in the media to people that they like. You got to be likable to win Comeback Player of the Year, right? You like, yeah, Joe Flacco came in and you see how much they like Joe Flacco. It had a nice story. It was nice packaging. But do you think that they're going to go into next year and give him either the MVP or the Comeback Player of the Year or the Offensive Player of the Year because they got to say, they sit in these boardrooms and say, well, what are we going to do? We just going to say he was good? You know, we got to put a disclaimer at the end about this, and that. You know, how are we going to handle these, you know, what do we do about the cases? What do we say about, nothing. Give it to Chubb. Chubb's the easy choice.
There is something to that. I remember in the Super Bowl in Tampa when the Ravens won the game and Ray Lewis was lights out. I don't know if Ray Lewis was MVP of that Super Bowl or not. That was probably Super Bowl 38, maybe.
When you played
it was the Ravens.
They beat the Giants. He was the MVP.
He was the MVP of the game. He played a great game. And Disney, for their famous "I'm going to Disney World" commercial,
went to somebody else.
Went to Trent Dilfer. And they were the dilemma they were looking at was just the year before at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. Ray Lewis was implicated as an accessory to murder. Now, he ended up not being convicted of that crime, but there was a lot of smoke around that crime. He was with a group that was involved in an altercation. A man was stabbed and bled to death. And the suit that he was infamously wearing that night disappeared. They never found it. He said he put it in a box, a FedEx box, and shipped it back to his home, and he doesn't know what happened. FedEx lost it.
That's crazy.
Well, it was a convenient story.
That's crazy.
But to your point, he put the league in a really difficult position when he won the MVP, and historically, it is the winner of the MVP that does the famous, you just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do now? And Disney and perhaps the NFL
no parts
did
of that.
not want the face of Ray Lewis as the I'm going to Disney World, so they instead went to Trent Dilfer. So there is precedent of what you're talking about.
And Jay, think about it like this. Kobe Bryant has one MVP.
Which is still astonishing to me.
Why?
Well, it had to do with the charges in Colorado.
He had to change his number. He had to cut his hair. He had to he had to change his whole life.
Gee, he had to die to get the flowers he deserved.
Yes,
that's essentially what happened, because after his tragic death in a helicopter crash, then you found nobody that was willing to whisper anything bad about Kobe.
At all.
You did?
No, go read the obits
Yes,
for
you
Kobe
did.
Bryant.
Go.
It was stunning how the narrative had
Gail
changed.
King, didn't she do something like that?
Yeah, but listen, of course you're going to have detractors from every corner,
what I'm
but
saying, don't do
by and
that.
large, he's not. You know how with artists and musicians, your stuff becomes better the second you die.
Yep.
Yeah.
When Kobe passed, it was nothing but a love fest for one of the greatest to ever play the game. Yet they could only give the man MVPs.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like I listened to, you got to think about it. Before he even started, people were telling you, national pundits, Tyvis was like, I just don't, Dan Patrick, and I love Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick was like, you know what, it's not fun. I'm not going to watch Cleveland. I don't have any excitement in watching.
You had
Cleveland.
a reporter at the NFL Network said, I feel dirty talking about the Browns.
So if you think they're going to vote for him for comeback, and they're going to say, well, what did he come back from?
An injury.
An injury.
Oh, so that saves. But here's the thing, that saves them from not. So he played 5 games because of the injury, right? If he would have never been injured, right, then he would have been sitting there and talking about allegations.
I don't
right?
know. I feel like if this man goes out there and throw for 5,000 yards, the Browns go 12-5 in the regular season, and he's thrown for 40 touchdowns.
Tyvis, I think the bigger question here is the MVP award. I think if he plays well enough to be considered for a most valuable player, I could see the league instead shoving him the comeback player of the year award as it's a nice little consolation prize, but we're not giving you the big enchilada. For him to win the MVP, he would have to be so overwhelmingly.
This question don't say that.
No, I know it doesn't, but I think G's point is now. I will say this: as much as America, this is what America loves. America loves the Johnny Manziel story, and here's why: he rose from nowhere. No one knew his name. He was 5th string on the depth charts. Within 4 weeks of the college football season, everybody in America knew his name. He goes on to win the Heisman Trophy. He's drafted in the 1st round. They build you up
to shoot you down,
to tear you down. Mm-hmm. But what they really love that they didn't get from the Manziel story, and they may well get from the Deshaun Watson story, is the comeback. They like it to go full circle. They build you up. They tear you down. And then you come back from the dead. Michael Vick.
I was about to say, did Vick come back?
Michael Vick got flowers when he came back.
But
took him a minute.
Michael Vick came back, and some would argue Michael Vick was broken. Michael Vick, before Mike Vick went in, cornrows, rap music, dog fighting. He came out, #1 lineup, no dogs, no animals, and chilling.
He wore number 7.
#1 Clippers.
Oh, you on the
you see,
he was talking hair, not jerseys.
That was he came out with that #1, and you know what? He got with Andy Reid.
Well, don't call it #1. You talking?
That's
to me.
the #1 blade.
He faded his size.
Jay, that was undercover ball.
Yeah, he faded his size. I don't want to hear that.
And he did. Now you said he got with Andy Reid. He also got with Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy did a whole lot to help him revamp.
A big part of Tony's mission on this planet is to help young African-American men that did not have guidance in their home, a strong male figure. And he really did an incredible job. And now Michael Vick's name doesn't leave a sour taste in your mouth. We like Michael Vick.
They put him on TV.
TV.
Tony Dungy got him back on TV. And that's crazy. I thought one of the biggest things, even See, people want contrition, right? And so it all depends on how your attitude is. So Michael Vick came out and he said this comment like, you know what, for me, I'm just hurt because I could never own another dog in my life. And I'm an animal lover, and because of what I did, like, you know, that really hurts me. Like, it's just like, you know, he said, you know, I kind of see that these as like my kids or something, and I can never own another animal. Like, so he was contrite about it. But here's the thing with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has always stated and always said, and he says, I did not do nothing. I'm innocent of what it is, and he has been steadfast on that. So the thing is, when I put up a post and say, what do you guys would like to say to Deshaun Watson, or what would it take for you to like him like you like Joe Flacco, and even some of y'all like Baker? And a lot of those comments were saying, if he would just cut the crap and admit to what he did and move on. So there's a lot of people that still believe he should admit to these things.
To something that he insists he never did.
So
you know what I'm wondering? At some point during his initial months back with the Browns, he had said or hinted to the fact that we're going to tell our side of the story. And the speculation was, he's got a group working on a documentary that's going to tell his side. I anxiously await that documentary.
He might have to wait to his career.
Well,
like, it was like the Last Dance joint.
Yeah, but anybody can independently produce anything they want.
Wait, Deshaun got a documentary?
If he did.
Either his lawyer, agent, or Deshaun made a comment about, I'm done talking about this, but we are going to tell our story.
Right.
Our story will be told one day.
Yeah.
And that, I'm anxious to hear it, because if you sit in a courtroom and you listen to either side, the prosecution or the defense, and you just listen to one side, you will leave that courtroom believing what they told you. That's because the other side wasn't allowed to punch holes in it. I want to hear his side of the story. And I hope one day we do, because I think like most...
Man, I wish I was in the locker room. I'd have been heard it.
Well, I'm sure he's probably told his side of the story to close confidants and friends. But what I'm interested to see is, I think, to your point, I think most of America, and by most I mean probably more than 50%, believe that the truth is in the middle of what they said and what he said. Did something hanky-panky go on in these massages? I think most logically thinking Americans think that something sexual did. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Deshaun Watson may have said whatever happened was consensual. So now you get into the weeds on the details of what happened. And was he forcing himself on these women? We don't know. But I do want to hear his side of the story.
McNuggets, you see what I'm saying? This just proves my point. We started with Deshaun Watson, Comeback Player of the Year, right? And for everybody that's voting, for everybody that's in those rooms that decide that, right? You can't talk about his comeback, his MVP, his play on the field, because these are the certain conversations that always tend to bubble up, right?
They will.
Even if you start at a good place, if you start at a real safe place of, okay, well, let's judge his skill set on the field and his merits of this award. There's going to be 2 or 3 people that's going to delve into that, because that goes into their thought process.
Well, in fairness, you brought that up.
I see.
I think Tyvis kept it all on the field. I'll answer this quickly.
It's going to come down to 2 people, him or Aaron Rodgers next year.
Oh, that's really hard to say. Because nobody would have told you last year that it's going to come down to Baker and Joe Flacco.
Remember this.
Nobody.
Clip it.
Okay, so here's my answer. My answer is, and I took a different approach. You went strictly on the field. You went public image. First of all, there's an assumption in this question. The assumption is both are going to play at a high enough level to be considered for this award. That is a huge leap of faith.
Yes.
And some people might not be able to build a bridge to that point. And here's why. Nick Chubb had not the first devastating knee injury. He suffered the second devastating knee injury of his career. I mean, when you look at that hit, you can't help but wince and grab your own knee. It is painful to watch. So the bridge to go from that hit in week 2 of the season to him playing well enough next year to be considered as the comeback player of the year is a bridge perhaps too far for some. The other bridge for Deshaun Watson might be too far for others. Here's why. We've seen Nick Chubb put comeback player of the year performances on the table very recently. His last full season. If he was the year before, if Nick Chubb didn't play at all and he played the way he did in 22 next year, he's the comeback player of the year. Nobody's expecting that. But is it so my question was, which bridge is furthest? The one that Nick Chubb can play that way again, or the one that Deshaun Watson can play that way again? And because Nick Chubb has done it more recently, and he is more responsible for his quality of play than the quarterback, and there's reasons for that, the quarterback has to have great receiver play.
Yep.
Nick Chubb can be Nick Chubb with mediocre line play. We've seen him do it.
I say he done it.
So for me, I think that it's more likely that Nick Chubb can get back to that level because Deshaun Watson would have to play at the Houston Texans Deshaun Watson level next year for him to be the comeback player of the year. And I still don't know. I haven't seen enough of it.
To me, this is one of the most very interesting narratives, storylines I'll be looking at going into next year. I believe if Nick Chubb comes back and runs for 1,000 yards, it's his award.
I would agree with that.
I don't disagree with
just
that.
Because of who Nick Chubb is. He's a guy people want to root for.
People love him.
People love him in city, out of city, local, national. Everybody loves Nick Chubb, and for him to come back, but not this will be his second major knee surgery, right? For him to come back and be able to do that, and if the Browns are good, they're automatically going to say, no, we got to give it to Nick Chubb. We're not dealing with it. Now, Deshaun, to me, I think he will have a really good year. I really want him to press the envelope. I want him to play so good that it has to be forced that we talk about it. Like, I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now.
Right.
Because you'll get a couple people. You know how it is when ESPN or some of the NFL network. There's going to be some former player. Shout out to Ryan Clark. I can't believe that Ryan Clark didn't get. He ain't not on ESPN no more, man.
Is that true?
Yes. Now he ain't on. He's not on ESPN no more.
Why?
Contract.
They didn't renew Ryan Clark?
Contract dispute.
No, they did. He just got a $3 million a year extension.
Nah, I just saw it, man. Go check that.
Oh, you got to get to the bottom of this.
Check that. He's not on
Ryan
that.
Clark-
I just saw him on the pivot. He was talking about it. So
See, that was last week's episode.
yeah, so we'll see what it was. But here's
Well, wait a minute. Maybe
check
he was
that.
using that as a negotiating ploy, and they came through with a
'Cause
contract.
I
can't imagine they wouldn't renew Ryan Clark.
I was sitting there watching the episode. I'm like, man, that's crazy. They're not renewing him.
He signed a new multi-year deal worth $3 million a year with ESPN.
When he signed that, like last week?
3 days ago.
Okay, 3 days ago. So yeah, he might have.
You scared me there for a second.
Great negotiation, Ryan
I was
Clark.
gonna
I
be like,
love
oh,
that.
it's
Ryan
worse than I
Clark's a
thought.
great guy,
Yeah.
and he's very good at his job.
So you know, when we look at it, there'll be some guys that are going to say that have played in the league. Forget the narrative stuff, but this guy's playing lights out. And I will give him this: he is a quarterback. Quarterbacks have a way, and I'll give it to Bull too. Bull says this: if Deshaun Watson comes out and he's playing lights out, there'll be more people in Cleveland that get on board, and that'll help block out.
Well, that
some of the
always
noise.
is the case. If you win, people forget.
After
Look at the
Baltimore, they was all on. Everybody,
You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
I mean, Pittsburgh had the Pittsburghers that had problem with Ben Roethlisberger.
He won that Super
They
Bowl.
quickly forgot when he won another Super Bowl. It's winning.
Cures all.
When you win, your fan base is extensive. And the other thing is the critics that are out there, and there will always be critics, they've got nothing to chirp about, so they get quiet real quick.
Yeah, you don't want to look crazy.
It's like all the Baker Bros
Yeah, you don't want to look crazy.
that were screaming he should be the guy. They got real quiet when Carolina cut him.
Yeah.
They got real vocal when he went to Tampa and played well enough to be the comeback player of the year.
Oh, it was a firestorm when he balled out in the playoffs. He won that playoff game. Woo!
Oh, it was nuts.
It was everywhere.
It was nuts. So the critics get quiet, and that's why I always say about Deshaun Watson, get your nose out of social media. You want to shut up the critics? Just win. It works every time. They've got nothing to chirp about if you are winning. Yeah. So, and one other statement before we move on with this. If Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb are both in the consideration for Comeback Player of the Year award, the Browns are making a deep playoff run next year.
Oh, they balling. Both of them.
Because
do
there's
that
certain
anyway.
boxes that you have to check before you can say we can contend for a Super Bowl. If you can check the box that Deshaun Watson's playing at an MVP or a comeback player of the year level, and you can check the box that Nick Chubb returned, because that's one of the biggest question marks coming into the season next year. What will Nick be? If you can check that box, those are two of the biggest questions. This team is making a deep playoff run next year if both Nick and Deshaun are in that conversation.
We'll talk Cavs in one sec, Ty, but question for you guys. See how good your memory is. Adrian Peterson had a catastrophic knee injury, came back the
8
following
months.
season. Do you think he won comeback player of the year following his knee injury?
I
don't know that he did, because
he came back and won MVP, I think, or offensive player.
Did he have a problem where he was suspended for discipline? He was paddling.
Was that the same year?
I don't know if it was the same year. I'm asking if
I thought that was afterwards.
It might have been.
I don't know what that situation
that
was.
situation.
He had like
where
2000
I know what happened. I don't remember what year.
Oh, I see,
Peterson
yeah.
did not win comeback player of the year that year. He lost to Peyton Manning. However, he beat Peyton Manning out for the MVP.
See, I was
That's
right.
that's even better.
Those two were the two finalists for
I
MVP
mean, he
and comeback
came
player
back-
of the year.
What did he rush for? Did he go for like
2,000.
2,000?
Yeah, that was
2000.
nine yards short of Eric Dickerson's single season record with 2,109 yards.
See,
At
that
age
man
27.
is the freak of all freaks. And he
Crazy.
did it in 8 months, guys. From the tear
Happened to my boy Chris Johnson.
to his return was 8 months.
That's
Yeah, he's
shout out to
super
Adrian
freak. Makes no
Peterson, man.
sense.
He's going through some financial issues at
I
this
know
moment.
he is, which it's just
Man, it's just
terrible.
Gosh, man.
Terrible. Well, he was fleeced.
AP going through financial problems.
Man, they
He
came
was
in-
fleeced by either his financial advisor
Yeah.
or a family member
Yeah.
that he was using as a financial
Someone did him
advisor.
dirty.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It is
They
a sad
confiscated
story.
his trophies and everything.